everybody, welcome to my channel. This is You Too Can Be Great. I hope that you guys can hear me. I am trying very hard to speak up as loud as possible. I've turned off every sound that I could think of because I said last week that my kid had COVID and I'm recovering from it. Also because it took me a little bit longer because, as you can see, stand up real quick, she's also going through it in this section. So bear with me. I will do as many reviews as I can, but if I'm inconsistent, just know that it's because I'm tired and I just cannot do it, and because there's something probably going on in my situation personally. And I know some of you have been very supportive and very understanding. I really appreciate it. So this is the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 14, episode 15. And all I can say is that Marlo is extremely exhausting, and that Sonya cannot in any way, shape, or form handle Kenya. So I don't know why her behind would be so stupid to even try to even, I guess that was her attempt at trying to check Kenya. And I'm just looking at her like Kenya and Sonya have a huge age difference from what I can tell. At least that's what I thought. Kenya has been in the game for a very long time. And when it comes to reading people, Sonya, that little patois that you were doing, I don't know whether that was just a cry for, it was just a desperate cry for help, but it did not mean anything. And all I'm praying is that next season I don't have to see Sonya, and that Marlo's peach gets taken away and they give her a plum, because that's what she's earned, is a damn plum. She's exhausted and she does not need to have a peach. She needs to continue to be a guest on the show so we don't have to see her as often as we see everybody else, because she is a lot to take in. Now, let's talk about it. So this is their last time, or this is supposed to be the last experience in Jamaica. This started off with the dinner fight from a previous episode where Kenya and Sheree did not make it to, hold on. They did not make it to Sonya's iFit company thing that she was doing, the sponsor thing that they were doing for her. They didn't make it, although Marlo somehow happened to be in that situation. I don't know how that occurred. Kenya's not an idiot, so she's trying to figure out what's going on. And because there was a miscommunication there, Kenya felt disrespected by the host of the occasion. Now, I get that Sonya may have been busy and she may not have prioritized, letting the women know what the situation is. I mean, there's several factors that could come into this because they don't know Jamaica like she does. And obviously, yes, Kenya could have taken a cab and got herself to the location, but there was also something about the address. I mean, it was just like, it just sounded like miscommunication all around. But Sonya, like I said, cannot handle herself under pressure. She could have easily squashed it by saying, that was my bad, I was working, I didn't think to communicate with you guys because I was really busy that day, and I apologize. And that would have been it. It would have just been deaded. Instead, she decided to now make this an argument. Kenya, of course, is not going to back down from a fight. And Ross, Sonya's husband, gets up in an attempt to defend his wife. He stands up and basically says, don't F with my wife. And he's standing up and he's trying to check the two women that are arguing. I don't think that he took notes when Todd was arguing with Kenya and with Marlo, that he at least stayed in his seat and he was careful with his choice of words. Because you don't get up and try to say something. We're not going to have you playing the second Peter on the show. Peter was begging for a peach before Cynthia divorced him. He wanted that peach so bad because he knew divorce was coming. And he wanted to secure it because Sports One and Bar One, all they have are lawsuits, not profits. Now, Ross, I don't know what your motive is, but you need to sit your behind down. So they get up and they walk away. And he gives us this ridiculous spiel about how if his wife is drowning, he's going to go and save his wife from drowning. I'm just like, I don't see any water anywhere. She was needed to just be quiet, because Sonya has gotten herself in several situations. You just need to hush because you ain't even been there to even see it. Because she's your wife don't mean that she's perfect. Then you hear Marlo in the background too, while Kenya is talking to Sonya. Marlo's like, don't attack her, don't attack her. Marlo is the last, this is what I mean by Marlo being a very wicked person. She has a very double standard way of life. She's sitting there whispering to about Kenya, or instigating, don't attack Sonya, don't attack Sonya. But you were just at the dinner attacking Candy, Todd, and Ralph, and Drew's personal choices about adopting Josiah or not. You have attacked almost everybody on this cast. You don't have a right to open your mouth and say, don't attack somebody. Marlo, just sit down and shut up. Marlo was trying to instigate, and that's what she was doing. She was instigating, but the effect that she wanted to give to make us think that Kenya is like the bad person, it just made her look more like a fool. And all I wanted her to do was just shut the F up. I don't want to hear Marlo's voice anymore. It's aggravating. It's always like there's something that's just annoying me at this point. Marlo is not one of my favorite characters on the show anymore. She used to be fun to listen to in the shade. Now she's just aggravating. Then we have Sanya and her husband coming back to the table, deciding that they wanted to just finish everything and deal with everything and just come back because they're the host anyway. And you got Drew in her wheelchair acting like the shin splint or whatever that she got from her minor win from the, I guess, the sprinting requires a wheelchair, so she has to be shuttled over. I said, first of all, give this girl a boot. I've had shin splints before from running, and I've had, you know, the issues that happen in my legs, especially because I'm pigeon-toed and knock-kneed, okay? Where's a boot? All this extra stuff that they're doing, wheeling her around, carrying her around, I feel like, I don't know if I should take her seriously. It just seems the way, when I watched the entire situation happen, I couldn't tell the severity of it to be wheelchair necessary. But then again, I'm not in her body, so I don't know. I'm just saying something's off with that situation. Then we have, the next day comes, Marlo goes to iFit. Sonya goes to iFit again to do another one of her video shoots. And this time, she's careful to make sure that she invited Sheree, because Sheree and Kenya had similar experiences with her about the last iFit situation, but she considers Sheree and Marlo her allies, the only allies that she has, and she would not want Sheree to not be her ally. So now Sonya's gonna kiss Sheree's ass and making sure that she specifically invites her to now squash the beef with her, but still maintain her anger toward Kenya, because she wants to put Kenya on an island by herself, so she wouldn't be the one on the island by herself. Sonya is very calculating in her actions and the decisions that she makes. First, she attacked Drew when she thought that Drew was the main person that everybody didn't like. Drew situated herself up. Drew did what, you know, did to Drew, but she's still up and running and she's still in the game. Then now she feels like Kenya may be the one that's on the chopping block, which doesn't make any sense, because I think Marlo's more on the chopping block, but she's not going to attack her friend. It's ironic, because if they do bring Sonya back next season and Marlo's storyline is over, I guarantee you, Sonya's gonna try this. Is gonna start seeing Marlo for how everybody else sees her, because Marlo is the type of person that uses you when it's convenient. Marlo is standing up for Sonya right now because it's convenient, and she really doesn't have as many allies on the show aside from Sheree. So she's having Sonya stick by her and doing whatever she can to make sure that she has someone in her corner. That is how Marlo is moving, and Sonya is too stupid to see it. So Sheree and her go to the iFit thing, and of course she takes that moment to now talk about Kenya, talk about whatever grievances she has with Kenya, saying that Kenya has been very dismissive of her, and that then she's sitting up here talking about how Kenya's divorce is an excuse. I said, now you're making fun of the girl's trauma. Actually, that was a conversation she had with Marlo later on, but I brought that up because that's on the front of my mind, because I'm looking at Sonya as in Sonya is letting Marlo poison her as a person, and Marlo is poison. They always say that be careful of the company that you keep, because people are going to judge you based on the people that you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with liars, thieves, and beggars, people are going to think that you are, to a certain extent, that too, because you had to be friends with these people because you guys have similarities in morals, similarities in culture, maybe certain areas in thought process. So that's why you're able to maintain a friendship with this person. So you guys are alike in some way. So if you choose to be friends with somebody who behaves this way, then that means a part of you is just the same way. So Sonya, I don't know if she's actually that way or if she's allowing Marlo to manipulate her, and Marlo is very manipulative. She did the same thing with Sheree, and these people clearly are very gullible because they let Marlo get into their head and have no opinion of their own. Then we have on the other side of the island, I guess, we have Marlo letting the entire group that know that Sonya left her in charge and that she's going to be the one to host while Sonya's gone. And you look at Todd, who's not wanting to hear her voice. You look at Candy, who's done with you. Look at Kenya, who's looking at her like, I'm not listening to what this heifer is saying to me. Not even if God himself came down and told me to listen to her. As far as I'm concerned, she's dead to me. Take her down to go meet her father, Lucifer, because I am not dealing with this. I'm not listening to her. So you can tell, and Marlo's behavior is, Marlo will do something completely effed up to you and then turn around, and when you're reacting to it, talk about the person's being childish. Marlo likes to play the victim and the villain role. She likes to be the villain, but then when it comes back to her, she wants to be the victim. And I'm just looking at her like, either both titles I wouldn't consider you a victim, and I wouldn't consider you a villain. I just consider you inconsequential and need to get off the freaking show. Then we have them going out to go eat, and of course while they're eating that afternoon, while Sanya and Sheree after Sanya and Sheree are done with the fit, Sheree lets them know while they're eating outside in this little cafe looking thing, but they're eating under like a forest, like a tree, that, you know, Sanya invited her out to the fit thing for today. I think to a certain extent that may have been done to get a reaction out of Kenya. I think that Sanya was being passive aggressive. I think that because she cannot best Kenya in a game of wit or words, then she's trying to do a passive aggressive way to see if this will annoy Kenya. But Kenya didn't take the bait. Kenya is very, very intelligent. I'm so sorry. She didn't take the bait, and she just said, well, maybe she just wanted to talk to Sheree alone before she gets to talk to me, so that'd be what it is. Her more concern is why the birds were pooping on them during the trip while they were trying to eat. And I think that Kenya, with age, has changed a little bit. I still think that she can be very messy, but this season I'm loving her and Candy and Moneta more than anybody else, I will say, as far as entertainment goes. Then we have Marlo, Moneta, and Sheree. They go back there at the pool area. And of course, Marlo decides to bring up the issue with the Ralph conversation and try to justify in her head how disrespectful she was towards Candy and Todd. And first of all, Todd didn't even do anything to her, but she does it by going back to her past trauma and, oh, I just fell for them. And, you know, I'm thinking this child, Marlo, the very fact that you're using Ralph's adoption situation that has absolutely nothing to do with you when you don't know the intricacies of their family life, it's none of your freaking business. I think that Marlo is she's calculating, but she's not as smart in her calculation. Because I think that with her trying to give this pathetic little fake sympathy towards Ralph's kid that she's never met, doesn't know anything about, Josiah, saying, oh, it just touched my heart. I thought that you said you're going to adopt him. All of a sudden, this kid is thinking you're going to adopt him and you don't. She's trying to use it as a way to shield herself from the guilt that she feels from kicking out her nephews after she said she was going to take care of them. So she's trying to empathize with a child that doesn't have anything to do with her, to kind of make the public see her as, oh, she still loves children. She was just feeling bad and going through something. That's what Marlo's trying to do, and that's bull. And I see Moneta and Sheree sitting there trying to make her feel better by saying, oh my gosh, Candy should have never inserted herself in that conversation. But Marlo inserts herself in every conversation, when it has to do with Kenya, she inserts herself because she wants to antagonize Kenya. So I don't think that Candy having an opinion in what she's saying when you're having an open conversation at a table with a bunch of people is not incorrect. She has a right to speak because you're not doing it privately. So I don't know why these women are sitting here trying to say whatever they need to say to make this bitch feel good. She is not a nice person. I don't care how she feels. What she did was wrong. Then we get to the Chukka Cove, where it's like a river safari about 20-25 feet deep. They were gonna go like this flotation picnic type situation. They have it's like a nicely decorated area. I don't see the food, but they had I think they had wine or something. I'm not sure, maybe I didn't see that correctly. But of course, Sanya's being pressed now. Her and Marlo have a stick up their butt for Kenya. Every scene that they have, if Kenya does not come out of either one of their mouths, it's shocking, because I can't wait to the reunion so Kenya sees how much these ladies just spent talking about her when she wasn't around. It's exhausting. It's almost baffling. And I guarantee you Bravo's messy ass will probably count how many times, because somebody's gonna mention it. Watch. On the other side of the river, while they're floating, you got Kenya and Todd enjoying their moments, except Todd thinks the river is lazy. Then you got Kenya talking to Sheree about Ross's reaction to her. Kenya calls Ross's behavior aggressive. I wouldn't necessarily use the word aggressive. I would use the word rude. I would use the word, as in a man should not be talking to a woman that way. He could have easily just got up and said, you know what, this is not what I came here for. My wife doesn't need to be spoken to this way. Sonya, get up, we're leaving. As opposed to saying what he said to her. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, I wouldn't use the word aggressive. I think Kenya can be a little bit more dramatic when she's upset about what somebody does to her. And so I wouldn't go take so far. But do I think that Ross should have handled himself the situation the correct way? I don't think he did handle himself the correct way. I think he should have just stayed the hell out of it, just like Todd and the other men were doing. Then we got this is in the moment where Sonya and Marlo are talking shit about Kenya on the boat, making fun of her divorce, not understanding that a divorce can cause PTSD. Mark was the very definition of somebody who is emotionally abusive, manipulative. Now he's trying to take money from her when she was only married to him none but a minute. He doesn't even spend as much time with his daughter. And the things that Kenya went through with him, because she really wanted to have a family, is something that I don't think that she's ever going to forget. She felt like she was just pulled and treated like a piece of trash, and now that she's recovering, she's more aggressive in trying to protect herself from allowing anybody to make her feel that small. That is a function of PTSD. You have a delayed reaction, but it comes later on, and when it comes out more than what you intended, because you're just tired of being treated a certain way. And for Marlo, who's sitting up here talking about she's having compassion for Ralph's kid that she doesn't really hang out with, and she threw, you know what I'm saying, she always throwing Drew and everybody else under the bus. Now y'all sitting here laughing at the girl's pain and expecting sympathy. Y'all are both wicked. And then Marlo obviously and Sheree talked to Sonya about Kenya's behavior, and I know Sheree did put a battery on Sonya's back, saying that if she did not correct Kenya, that Kenya will end up antagonizing her more since their argument at the dinner table. And so that's something I think that's weighing on Sonya's mind. Then they get to the Jamaican colorful dinner on the beach. That's the final dinner that they're gonna have. They're dressed in Jamaican colors, which all of them look beautiful. It's ironic that Candy and Marlo come dressed in the same outfit, and Kenya actually comes out saying, I saw this shirt and I almost bought the same shirt. And I'm just thinking, if all three of you wore the same shirt and came up here when you're both Kenya and Candy are pissed off at Marlo, it's gonna be interesting to see how that works out. Will Kenya burn the shirt? I don't know. Then Marlo says some nonsense to Sheree, like, you know, when we were racing and we were running and you were cheering for me, run, Marlo, run. And they flash back to it, that it touched her. She was so touched by that. I'm like, you're touched by everything nowadays, aren't you? Except the things you're supposed to be touched by, which is your behavior towards your nephews who you agreed to take care of. But you're touched by everything else, right? So she tells Sheree that it touched her so bad. And in the midst of that, Sheree said, I think you need to talk to Candy about how you feel. And Marlo then looks to Candy and says, do you understand why it went so hard for you and your husband? Candy was like, nope, I don't either. She said, when I was having a conversation with Ralph, when they said, I was thinking in my head that he said he was going to adopt this kid, and then this kid now knows that he's not going to adopt it. I'm just thinking, oh my gosh. I'm like, you don't know what the heck the boy's thinking. You were not in their family. Shut up. And then she said, and then you brought up my nephews, and you brought it, and then Candace like, let's be clear, we're not going to make this about your nephews, because I don't have a problem with them. What I was saying was, you're sitting here correcting somebody else's family's decision on how they choose to navigate with their kids, where you did not navigate correctly with your own children, that you were put in. That's the general point of it. So you didn't like that I said it, and you're sitting up here saying, but you said it in front of strangers, but you told us in front of national television. He already knows. So this idea that Marlo has in her head that Candy outed her makes no sense. We're all watching. Millions of people are watching. You outed yourself. It makes absolutely no sense. You just want to justify your dumb behavior. And then Candy said, you know, when you go low, I go lower. Number one, I go low with you. Number one. And number two, you attacked my family. And then she said, but if Todd defended himself the way that he would normally defend himself to you, then it'll be like, oh, it's a man arguing with a woman. Todd now speaks up and says, if you want to argue with her, keep my name out of this shit. Don't bring me in it. You know, or keep my fucking name out your mouth. And of course, Marlo does the deflection as she always does. She's good at, you gotta cuss at me now. Why you gotta cuss at me now? Candy said, see, if he would have talked to you the way that he would normally talk to somebody who runs their mouth in the wrong direction, now you wouldn't act like it's the man talking to you crazy. Marlo, like I said, is a villain and a victim. She's a bitch. And of course, Candy said, well, I'm just not going to, you know, go that low, whatever. And then Marlo says, I'm just not going to talk about your husband. But I promise you, Marlo's going to break that promise. She's going to talk about Todd again. Because she actually fixed her mouth and said that what she said was true. Candy's like, you weren't saying nothing true, and everything I said was true. And that's the difference. They just left it there. They didn't squash the beef. They just decided to let it go. Then Sonya decides to take this moment after Ross and all the dude gets up and leave. She wants to now tack on Kenya. And I'm like, you better say your prayers before you do. Because you need those prayers. And you need it badly. Then she looks at Kenya and she said, Kenya, what's up? Now, you guys know I've seen the Ratchet Express. When somebody comes to you and says, so what's up? That is supposed to be their indication that they wanted to fight you. And for me, I see that in like ratchet videos. Like when you see those videos, people fighting in the middle of the street or fighting over something dumb, like over a dude or whatever the case is, you always have something, so what's up, what's good, or something like that. And to me, that's where my head goes. I think that Sonya in this moment was trying to gangsta it up, or I don't know what she was trying to do. And Kenya's like, listen, what, are you a dude? So what's that? What you trying to talk to me for? If somebody's, I think I've had somebody say that to me before. I've had it multiple times, and I just look at them like, how are you doing today? The sky? I don't like, that's just dumb to me, like, because I'm looking at two grown women, and Sonya, you can address your concerns with her, how you feel with your words, but looking at her in the middle of a place that you invited her to, like you want to pick a fight with her. Kenya is 50 years old, girl. You think she's gonna be sitting up here scrapping with you? Girl, bye. At a certain age, nobody has the time or the patience. You just go call the cops and you can just mend in there and get yourself a new charge. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. Then she's talking to Kenya, and she says that she's been a great host. She's been an immaculate host. And Kenya's already looking at her like, your ego's already too big. And she mentions that Kenya is being dismissive, and Kenya always doesn't answer the question, and Kenya was on her phone. Kenya's like, my phone is not even in front of me, number one. Number two, what do you mean by I'm being dismissive and listening to you and talking to you right now? Then Sonya jumps from one topic to another. First, it's her being upset about one thing, then it's her bringing up another topic and another topic. Finally, Kenya's like, I can't live in abstract thought. You need to pick a topic, pick a whatever you want to pick, and then we need to talk about it. Sonya says something, it brings up the 2-hour lateness that Kenya was a few days prior. And Kenya's like, we're talking about one thing, so let's fix that first before we jump to something else. Otherwise, I'm not jumping around with you. I don't like that either. I have to be honest with you, I don't like that either. If I'm having a conversation with you and we're trying to address an issue, and you're jumping from that issue to whatever issue you had in the 15th century, or whatever issue you had before Martin Luther King marched, I have no patience for it, especially if it's an issue we've already dealt with. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care. At that point, if I've already apologized for it and we've already dealt with it, I don't care anymore. Don't bring that shit up to me. I don't care. You already apologized for it. You can choose to accept the apology or not, but bringing it up millennials later, it's not gonna, no, I'm not gonna give you any energy for that. So let's move on. This is a topic that we're talking about. We're either gonna stick to it or we're not. That's how I am. Because I'm not gonna sit there and just have a bunch of thoughts jumping around and know we're having a conversation so we can get to a conclusion. So if we're not concluding in this, we don't need to be, no, you can address another problem another day, in another time, or whenever it happens. I don't have time. And Sonya's like, yeah, but every time I did it, does this, does that. And then Sonya brings up when Kenya hung up on her, and Kenya said, and you and I talked about it, and I apologized to you when we moved on. So what else have I done since then? And Sonya just looked so dumb and so pathetic. She was just like, hold on, let me think. And of course, Candy starts laughing the way that I was laughing, like, girl, if you're gonna come fight with somebody, have some receipts. Because Kenya will eat you for fails. She was like, you are inarticulate in expressing yourself or communicating or explaining things. I can't follow your thought process, girl. I just can't. And Sonya goes up and talks in the confessional, talk about, I'm in Jamaica. I don't know why I'm not reading her for filth right now, and starts speaking to patois. I'm like, girl. I just laugh harder. I was like, this is just bad all around. And Candy goes in the confessional and says what I said. You cannot handle Kenya more. You need to be prepared, because at this point, Kenya is just looking at you like you just look dumb. You look dumb. You're arguing with her and you have no like real point that you're making. She now breaks down and says, I just felt like you and I were getting in a better place, and da-da-da. Kenya was like, at this point, this girl's a little girl to me, so I'm just going to help you with your feelings. Next time that we talk about something and we squash that, I don't want to hear about it. Don't bring it up to me. I don't care. We already talked about it. We already dealt with it. If you want to keep talking about the same thing over and over and over again, I'm going to fucking ignore you, because I'm not going to live in that realm where it's consistent abstract thoughts where you're just grasping onto this and this and this. We've already dealt with it. I'm not going to do that with you. You're going to talk by yourself. I don't have the patience for that. Who does? It's like, are you going to sit there and make a list of all the things you've already dealt with, and when I'm dead, sit there and read it in my eulogy? Like, what the fuck? Nobody has time for that. Then she says to Sonya that, she doesn't have a lot of respect for a lot of people, which is true. At least she's honest. And she lets her know that, and it seems like they're okay, but I'm sure that when the reunion comes and Kenya sees the full picture, Sonya is going to be in a hot seat, and I don't think she's going to be able to handle Kenya at all. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it at all. Anyway, moving forward, we thinking that the episode is going to end, and they rewind and show Marlo and Candy apparently had a much better reunion and reconciliation at the, what is it, at the airport or something they were at. Marlo got her hands on some chicken, some KFC, and y'all know Candy and her food. You know, you don't mess with Candy and her food. You just don't. Candy walking past Marlo got a whiff of that chicken, so she goes up to Marlo and she's like, you know I'm mad at you, bitch, but let me have a wing. Marlo knew how to get, Candy's like a dude that way. You know, the way to her heart is through good food. So she got her chicken and they got on a better foot. Of course, Candy is still going to tread lightly with Marlo because Marlo's character, it is what it is. She already showed the type of person that she is, but they are in better terms than they were later. I don't think that if anybody ever insults my husband or my children to that magnitude, we would ever be on a good foot. We just not. I think that for that, you'd be erased from my sphere of thought. I would not consider you a human being. To me, you're that over there. And so long as you stay over there, we wouldn't have any issues. But would I entertain you or communicate with you or have anything to do with you? That is a no. I don't wish you ill will, but I could care less if you're alive or dead. It just does not, your existence and whatever you're doing does not appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. I don't consider you in my thought process. I don't think about you when I do things. It's just like you don't exist to me. I will wipe your entire memory from my existence entirely. If I can avoid not even having to see your face in this life and the afterlife, I would too. That's just how I am. But it's nice to know that Candy is able to somehow open her heart up to this girl who's going to burn her again. It's inevitable. That's just how Marlo is. Okay, so that's how this episode ended, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I'm going to go ahead and watch Married to Medicine later on today, and hopefully I have the energy to do the review. And you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye!